This is Wax Talk by Perron Rigot, and I am Kileigh Johnson, and I am the National Training Director for Perron Rigot, and I'm super excited today to have Elleebana in the house. We are actually in the Perron Rigot Training Center, and Elleebana has joined us today, and we're going to have a conversation about add-on treatments that you can do when you're doing waxing, right? So if you're doing a brow wax, what are some really good add-on treatments to add to your services, and how that can make a huge impact on your bottom line. So we have Kileigh from Elleebana here. So Kileigh, introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you do.
Hi, I'm Kileigh Johnson. I am the master trainer at our USA headquarters office here, right down the street actually, in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. And my position is to put out training. So I teach classes in all of our lines, including lash lift, lash lamination, brow lamination, brow henna, and lash extensions. I also have a team of trainers that I work with, and we have a few other master trainers alongside me that aren't actually in the USA office, but spread throughout the US. And so we have about 45 trainers all across the U.S. that use our line and train students. And I also do our social media too.
Awesome. Fantastic. So, I have done a lot of so I'm also the same, right? So I do education. I do waxing classes here in-house, and also we have an online training portal that we have a lot of classes. And one of the big topics I like to talk about is add-on services. And I know I've been an esthetician. I'm showing my age, but for a million years, I've been licensed for 25 years. And I can remember, thinking back and working for, maybe corporate salons, and how, they kind of like to, give you a little push with the add-on services. And sometimes you feel like a salesperson, right? But, when you crunch the numbers, even adding $25 to a service, which for your services is low, and we'll talk about that a bit, but even adding $25 to 4 clients in one day, do you know how much that is per year?
Not per year, but it's an extra $100 a day.
$100 a day, which if you do the math and if you work 5 days a week, it's $24,000 for the year. So imagine if the service is $50. Okay, so now you're at $48,000 and up and up and up. So it really makes an impact. So I really would like to, for the listeners and all you estheticians out there, especially if you're, solo on your own, because there's so many solo estheticians right now, I always say start where you are. So if you have current clients and you're stressed out and you're not totally booked and you're trying to get new clients, I say start where you are with your current clients and do some add-on services, because they're going to love it, especially if it's Elleebana, because you guys are like, the number one go-to for brow lamination and lash lifts. And just offer it to these clients. They're going to love it. And then the next time they come back to you, they're going to book that service too. And then it just snowballs. And the next thing you know, your income is just skyrocketing, and you didn't even really have to get new clients to do that. So Kileigh, I want to ask you, so what are some services that Elleebana would recommend to add to maybe a brow wax?
So this is a great question. I actually have a waxing background. So before working for Elleebana, I was working in a very busy salon in Tacoma, Washington called X-Wax. It was a ton of brow shapings and a ton of Brazilian. So a lot of times I would try to add on to my clients that I would already have, just like you were mentioning before.
It's the best way. Yeah.
And if they're just coming in for a brow shaping, maybe instead of trying to sell them something, ask them, would you like to try a tint today? It only costs you a little bit, and a lot of times they're going to want the tint when they come back. You could even do discounted if you wanted to, add on for brow lamination, or you could even do a lash lift with it too. A lot of times that's what the main focus of the face is when someone looks at you, they see your eyes first. And to really have those add-ons that just completes the look that the client doesn't even know that they're looking for at the time.
I know.
It's amazing.
Because if someone comes in and just gets a brow wax, okay, their brows look great. But when I fill them in or I tint them, I always, just what you said, I always offer the tint, just a brow tint, not really a lash lift or, lamination. I don't really offer that complimentary, but I always do a tint because it's and a lash tint too. I mean, it's such a huge impact for a lash lift. I mean, it literally opens their eyes and they're like, whoa, like they're just speechless, right? And especially if they're going on vacation and they just want to hop out of the pool and their eyes just pop open. So let's talk about, because we just mentioned a few services just casually in the conversation, but for the listeners who don't know what these services are, what is a lash lift?
So a lash lift is one of the most searched for things on the internet right now for beauty services
right now.
And in the last few years. So a lash lift isn't the addition of glues or any plastics or adhesives, anything like that to the eyes. It's a natural enhancement where we use a solution to scientifically, we break down the disulfide bonds, and then our step 2 solution helps hold hold the lashes in place. And it gives you a curl. It enhances the lashes in a natural way to where they don't feel like they have to have extensions. So it's a lot easier and a nice alternative if you don't want all of the maintenance. Because it lasts 6 to 8 weeks, but can last up to 12 depending on the person's lash cycle.
So you put it, like you almost put their lashes on a little, almost like a perm rod, right?
Exactly. So we cleanse the eyes really nice. You would put your little eye pads on, and you can put a rod or a shield. It depends on the person's eye shape, what the length of their lashes are. And some people have more prominent brow bones, so you have to be careful when choosing a rod on what you're going to pick for your client that's going to be the best look for them. If you pick a rod or if you pick a shield and maybe someone has a more prominent brow bone, what that can do is over curl the lashes so that where it's too much straight up, and it could be hitting the brow bone to where they wouldn't necessarily like it. So you have to be careful when customizing for your clients.
That's cool. And then, so that's something you can offer when they're doing a brow wax. And how long does that take?
It can typically take up to an hour, depending on the system you're using. The longest part the part that's going to take the longest is wrapping the lashes up and over the rod or the shield and making sure that they're really well isolated, because my little saying is where they lay is where they stay. So if you have lashes that are crisscrossed or, tucking under each other, where maybe you had some bottom lashes that got attached with the top lashes, it can affect your results. And so that's the most important part of the lash lift or lash lamination. And so depending on which system you're using of ours, it can take a certain amount of time. So with our original one-shot system, that usually you can process for 3 to 6 minutes for that system. And then the setting solution is 3 to 5 minutes as well. So that's our faster OG system that we've been using for years. And that one's typically faster. When I was using mostly one shot before our perfusion line came out, it was taking me about 45 minutes to do a lash lift and tint for my clients. And then now with our perfusion system, it's a little bit more gentler. It's a duo system that can be used on brows and lashes, and that can process a little bit longer. Because it's a more gentle system and it doesn't break down the disulfide bonds as quickly as with our one-shot system, but the results are amazing, and it takes out that worry of over-processing for a lash lift.
Yeah, I know that your product is really gentle. I know that for sure. However, do you want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So because, again, like showing my age, because I'm older, I have like for those of you who are listening and can't see us, the hairs like right on my, like right here, like on your like very front of your hairline they're a little bit gray and starting to grow like straight up, right? So I'm thinking I'm brilliant and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to use the Lash Lift solution and put it on those little hairs and take a mascara wand and brush them and let them process. And then they're going to lay smoothly to the side like they used to before they turned gray. Okay, so as soon as I put on the solution, the hair is literally starting to melt in my hand. So, yeah. So, but it was fine. I got the like the neutralizer, or what do you call
your step 2?
Yeah, the step solution. 2, right? The setting solution. I got that on right away. It was fine. It took a minute for the hair to, kind of, feel normal again. But don't do that at home. Don't use it on your hair. And I think it's just because our lashes must just be a lot more coarse than our hair, right? Obviously.
That could be. And there's a lot of factors that can affect certain things if you are going to do a lash lift.
Yeah.
Hormones, food, diet, exercise, any of those things can affect it. So I don't know what happened that day.
I don't think it's made to be used in the hair.
I don't think so either. Sure. I haven't experimented with
that. So what's the home care like for that service? Because it might, let's say you have a client, your facial canceled next, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have an extra hour. Let's do this lash lift. You're going to love it. But the client needs to be prepared, right? So what, are the don'ts and do's after?
So there's some do's and don'ts before and after.
Okay.
So let's say your client comes in, she's got a full eye of mascara on. Mm-hmm. If it's waterproof mascara, I wouldn't do the service that day. I would opt for something else.
Okay.
There's something within waterproof mascaras that stay within the hair follicle, and it can affect the results of your lift. Also, be sure that maybe they have a special event coming in the next day or two, and they're going to need to wash their face, or they're going to have to wear makeup or strip lashes, something like that. If they're doing that event within the next 24 to 48 hours, I would possibly avoid doing the lift, depending on what that event could be, because that would be the last thing you need.
So they should plan ahead. If they know they have a really cool event to go to, maybe do it, try it beforehand, make sure that it works well for them.
And for after, you'll want to tell your client to try to lay on their back because your lashes are still setting within that 24 hours. Avoid hot, steamy showers. I also always like to recommend, if they are going to wear mascara, go ahead and wear our Elevate mascara. It's the only mascara that's approved to use within the 24 to 48 hours of you having a lash lift. I even put it on clients right after they leave. It comes off the eyes so well. Like, you could just take water and a little Q-tip and it would rinse right off. They almost come off in little tubes.
Awesome.
So that's a great mascara to use if you've had a lash lift. It also has biotin and keratin in it. So there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of mascaras that will have actual treatment.
Yeah, it's like nourishing for the lashes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to keep that on there, as well as our Elleeplex you can use on the brows and lashes. And that has some really great ingredients in it too, some fruit oils and arginine, different benefits that you would want to put on your brows and lashes after having a chemical service done.
Yeah.
It helps rejuvenate and nourish the lashes, give them hydration after having a service done like that. So
what about,
try to send these home with everybody.
Awesome. What about brow lamination? What is that for the listeners that don't know? I mean, I feel like it's everywhere right now, but tell us what that is.
So a brow lamination is essentially the same process as a lash lift, but of course you're not attaching rods to the eyebrow hairs. That would be interesting. So you use this step 1 from our profusion system. It breaks down the disulfide bonds, and then you're resetting the hairs into their new shape. This service would be beneficial to someone who has calyx in their brows, someone that has thinner looking brows, that when you comb them up, they look a lot
fluffy,
fuller and fluffier than they normally would without. So it's really great for someone that's looking to have an easier attainable shape every day.
Right.
Now, there is a lot of misconception about brow lamination. A lot of people think that, oh, okay, I'll get my brows laminated and they're going to stay like that. They still require daily styling, but it makes it a lot easier to where your brows will stay in your intended shape.
Yeah, because a lot of people have that where one eyebrow, the front of the brow grows to the side and the other one always grows to the opposite side,
Yes.
right? And I feel like this is great for that. Mm-hmm. Is it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Now, you have to learn when it is and when it's not
Right.
going to be beneficial to your clients. So I would say this service isn't for everyone. So to use your professional abilities to decide when and who would be a good service for. Some people just have too coarse of brows to where it doesn't look as natural and as great as their brows already look. And I think it's so trendy that a lot of people will be like, oh, I want a brow lamination because
Everybody
I saw
wants
it on the internet. So it's up to you to decide as a professional when it is and when it's not. But it's a great service if you are looking to get those fuller looking brows.
Okay, so if people are interested in learning how to, they want to, do some add-on services, they have, because I would say when you have a waxing studio, I mean, 90% of your business is going to be brows and Brazilians. It's like all day long, right? And so I feel like a brow wax is the place to add on some of the Elleebana services. So if they want to learn how to do these treatments, where do they go? Do you have education on your website, or where do they go for classes?
You can go to elleebanausa.com, and in our education tab on the top of the page, there's the education section. You can click on Find My Educator, and it'll bring you to a state drop-down list. And you can find your closest educator by state, or you can go to the education calendar and search that way if you're looking for a certain class. And there's also course descriptions. In the course descriptions, you can also find our online platform as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, and I hope people really have learned something. And I just think that adding services, starting with the clients you have, you can't go wrong. And I know we talked about brow lamination and lash lifts. Let's just for a really quick second before we have to say goodbye. What about henna? Do you guys have that?
We do have henna as well, and that's also a great add-on service.
Yeah.
Especially if you are someone that's back to back. Henna takes some practice. However, if you were doing a brow shaping and then you put your henna on, you could actually set your client somewhere, whether it's in your waiting room or depending on what your salon environment looks like, a lash recliner or a massage table. They could lay or they could sit and relax, and then you could move on to your next client and then come back to that client that you put the henna on and soak the henna off.
Yep.
Because it needs to sit there for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's perfect. You can say, hey, and that is really great because then you're making money on both ends, right? So you're doing your next client, doing a quick Brazilian, while the henna is processing in a chair or in a different, maybe you have an extra room or space. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I'm my wheels are spinning. I'm like, oh my gosh, we should do a class together because we could do the brow waxing and incorporate, one of your services. For our listeners, we always like to do a little giveaway for you as a thank you for listening. So for this episode, we are going to give you guys 30% off at Ceropol.com. And the promo code is PRPodcast30, and that is good for 30% off up to $300. It's a really generous offer. We don't usually give, but it's only for this podcast, for our listeners. It is good for one time only, and sadly, it doesn't include any promotional items. But go to cerealpill.com and use the promo code and purchase some wax. And then go to Elleebana and go to their website and check out their education. Is there anything else that you want to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, there was a couple things. We came out with some new products recently, so
Awesome.
I would definitely check that out.
They're on your website.
They are. And how our website works too is we don't directly sell, so you can use our where to buy tool on our website and find the distributor closest to you. But there has been a few products that have come out this year that have really been game changers for my services, whether it be for classes or just content creation. I don't really do a lot of clients anymore, but I do keep my hands warm and do the class demonstrations and content creation. There's a few products that have come out. So we have flex rods. They don't have to adhere to the skin. So for years, it's been a thing for lash lifting where you have to adhere the rod or shield to the skin or to the eye skin before.
Like the lid, for the
eyelid. So those you need no glue. Of course, you need to adhere the lashes up and over the rod for that. But it saves so much time not having to deal with adhering the rods to the lid. As well as we have our Elleefix that came out. So if you are not knowing if you want to try to get your client to try a brow lamination, you can use our Elleefix, and it's like a gel that you can put on with a mascara wand and comb through the brows, and it will put your brow hairs in a position where it looks like a brow lamination.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's really cool. So you can sell it to clients that have just had a brow lamination, and it will hold the brow hairs in that style. Or if someone's not sure if they want the service or not, they could use it for that.
Like to try it out.
Yeah. So you can add that on when you fill in their brows at the end with pencils or anything of that sort.
It's like a game changer. Like back in the day where you had to spray a mascara wand with hairspray and then brush it.
Then hold the brows in place.
That's what we had to do. Like if we wanted them to look fluffy, or you know how it looks cool, like when they go straight up and you can kind of see and you leave them a little bit longer. Like, I mean, that's what everyone did, right? You literally spray the mascara wand and then had to get it to your brow while it's still wet really quickly, you know. So, and then you have to pray that you have the right brand, that it doesn't get flaky by the end of the day. It's like so funny.
Oh my. So we have that, and there's
it's a game changer.
It really is. Yeah. Science has come a long way.
Yeah.
So, and then we have one last product that has come out this year, which is our precision lifter tool, aka the PLT. So like pretty little thing.
I was just thinking, of course. Yeah.
So
that's my generation. So I'm like automatically go right there.
So we have that as well. So if you are familiar with the brand, we have a tree tool. The tree tool on one side has a little measurement on one side, and then the comb to finally comb the lashes to make sure that there's no overlapping at all with your isolation. And then we had an isolator tool. So a lot of us were using the isolator tool to get the lashes up and over the rod, and then coming back in with the tree tool and really isolating the lashes. Well, now we put those two tools into one, and it's beautiful. It's black and gold and just amazing. I love it. So I'm,
excited. Yeah.
Otto is always trying to make our services easier, make it healthy for your clients and you as an artist. And I just love how innovative he is. He formulates all of our products.
I mean, literally, Elleebana is like blown up. Like,
it's huge.
Huge. It is definitely the go-to. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming to Perron Rigot and coming to our corporate office in the United States. We have learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Hopefully you guys listening have learned a lot too. We'll put your website in our show notes and also the promo code for the cerealpill.com. And you guys hop on over and get some education so you can start offering services to your clients and, start making more money. And I always think like, it's not just making money, right? It's like making your clients happy, because they're going to be like, oh my gosh, do you know what they're going to talk to their friend like, oh, my esthetician offered me brow lamination and a lash lift, and their friend's going to be like, I haven't heard of that. So I think, it's a win-win for you and for your client. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.